Hmm. Hmm. Very interesting. Oh, hey, how's it going? Uh, this is Professor Mandik, and I'm gonna make a little video because I feel bad for the people that are stranded at home today. This video message is for students of my philosophy of mind class that aren't having class today because the university has canceled because of snow. And I got to be honest, I don't blame them. It's crazy out there, and I hope everyone's safe. Hope you're enjoying yourselves. I hope you've got a hot beverage, and I hope you are ready to learn some philosophy because I am. Let's do it. Let's talk about neurophilosophy. What I wanted to do today in class is to get people started on the philosophy mind class. To get people started on our next unit, and the next unit is going to be dedicated to neurophilosophy. And neurophilosophy is one of my favorite things. And neurophilosophy is this thing that a lot of people would say that it was invented or discovered by Patricia Churchland, and this book from I believe 1986 called Neurophilosophy introduces the term neurophilosophy into philosophical discourse. And Patricia Churchland, along with her husband Paul Churchland, are very well known proponents of neurophilosophy. This is a book that I highly recommend. Very cool. This time around is by Paul Churchland called Neurophilosophy at Work. Uh, that's a little bit more recent. But anyways, Paul and Patricia Churchland are very well known as practitioners of and advocates for neurophilosophy, and I just think that stuff is terrific. I like to think of myself as a neurophilosopher, so I'm going to be highly biased in favor of the sorts of things that we're going to be studying in this unit on neurophilosophy, and I hope that you'll have patience with me. What I want to do in this video is introduce what I want to call two varieties of neurophilosophy or two flavors of neurophilosophy. One of them is going to be what I'll call reductionistic, neurophilosophy as reductionism. And the other kind is neurophilosophy as, and here's an ugly word, I apologize, eliminativism. And another way of trying to say eliminativism that's a little easier on the vocal apparatus is to say eliminative materialism. Not much easier, but I'm sorry. Anyways, we've got this contrast. Two different ways of thinking about neurophilosophy. On the one hand, you've got reductionism, and on the other hand, you've got eliminativism. And what I want to do in this video is to say a few things about just briefly what neurophilosophy is, and then get into these ideas of a reductionistic approach versus an eliminativist approach. But first, some announcements. Class always has some announcements. And one of the announcements I have is, you got a paper due. You got a paper due pretty soon. And really soon, you better tell me. Like maybe within the next week, you should tell me what your topic is. If you haven't already, tell me your topic. You do need to get approval from me on your topic. And if you've been in one of my classes before, you know that I'm pretty permissive. I'm pretty easy. If you want to write about Asian philosophy, if you want to get into continental philosophy, if you want to get into aspects of philosophy that we don't study directly in class, that is cool with me, but it better be philosophical and it better be about the mind. Anything about the mind you can write about as long as it's a philosophy paper. While you're thinking about papers, I've got some advice for you on how to write a paper. Even people like me, who've been writing philosophy papers for a really long time, it's hard. I know it's hard. It gets hard, and sometimes you get writer's block. Sometimes you just get to a point where you're like, oh my god, I can't write. I'm just staring at a blank page, and 2 or 3 hours go by, and maybe you type a word. You type the word and then you go check Facebook, and then you come back and you write another word, mind. So now you get 2 words, the mind, and then you delete one of them, and now you're back to the again. I know it's hard, and here's some advice. And I've printed out the advice. There's an inspirational little poster here, and here's the advice. Here's the advice. Oh, I like this advice. Can you see this? Look at this. This poster I made. It's advice. You got the advice? Can you see it? That's really good advice. I'm going to ask you, what was that advice? What was that advice that Mandik told you about in the video? Um, but so anyway, those are the announcements. There's also going to be an email concerning this video. If you didn't get the email, send me an email and say what's up. By the way, anyone watching this video that's not one of my philosophy of mind students, just turn it off right now. Walk away. You don't want to see this. It's crazy. You don't expose yourself to the crazy. But if you are a student in the philosophy of mind class, you better keep watching this video as if your life depended on it. So let's talk about a little bit about what neurophilosophy is, and then talk about the two flavors of neurophilosophy. So first, neurophilosophy. What is neurophilosophy? Neurophilosophy is it's a way of doing philosophy. It's a way of doing philosophy that's inspired to a large degree by Quine. Quine is very famous for, among other things, saying that philosophy and science are continuous. Philosophy and science are friends. They should work together. They feed off of another. You can't do anything philosophical that's worth doing in isolation from science. You could try. You could try to do what people have called first philosophy, where you just stay in the armchair and you think thoughts, and you come to have knowledge that's purely a priori. It doesn't consult the sciences. It's not open to empirical input. You could try to do that, but you're gonna fail. Whatever you come up with is just gonna be bullshit. The only kind of knowledge that's worth pursuing is ultimately scientific, and philosophy, at best, is just a very abstract portion of science. It's like when science looks at itself, science turned in on itself. That's the Quinean vision of the continuity of science and philosophy. Now, there's lots of different ways to combine science and philosophy, or to try to, reason in a way that's both philosophical and open to scientific data and theorizing. So, for example, if you were in my space-time class last semester, we did a lot of philosophy of physics. We were working through problems that occur at the very abstract level of physics, but also like it takes into account what you might recognize as traditionally philosophical reasoning and philosophical problems. So right there is some naturalized philosophy that's scientifically informed. Now, another way of combining philosophy and science is to combine philosophy and neuroscience, and this is especially appropriate if you are interested in the mind, because neuroscience studies the central nervous system. A really cool, important part of the central nervous system is the brain. It's my favorite part of the central nervous system, is the brain. And a lot of what you would have thought, like the mind was all about, things like perception and memory, intentions, goals, emotions. Don't forget the emotions. That's that mind stuff maybe is also brain stuff. Maybe it's relevant to study the brain if you want to understand the mind. So neurophilosophers are a kind of Quinean, that they believe in the continuity of science and philosophy. They think that if you want to do philosophy of mind, you also are going to have to do some neuroscience. So that's my brief description of neurophilosophy. If you want to know more about neurophilosophy, go look some stuff up. One thing you could look up is the book Neurophilosophy. This is the book by Patricia Churchland. That's pretty cool. Patricia Churchland and Paul Churchland have written a lot of books and a lot of articles. Use your Google finger to go Google some Churchland stuff and find out about them. So I want to move now into the two kinds of neurophilosophy, or the two flavors of neurophilosophy. And by the way, these two aspects of neurophilosophy correspond to two chapters in this book. That's a pretty good book. And one of the chapters is chapter 6. Chapter 6 is called Mind as Brain. And chapter 6, Mind as Brain, is a chapter about mind-brain identity theory. And this chapter and the related theory, mind-brain identity theory, relates to the first flavor of neurophilosophy that I mentioned, which is the reductionist flavor of neurophilosophy. Now, the other chapter that is connected to neurophilosophy is chapter 10, and it's called Eliminative Materialism. And you may have guessed that that's connected to the other flavor of neurophilosophy, which is eliminativism. And I'm going to take just a little break right now because I want to, mess around my computer. But I'll come back and we'll talk about the two flavors.